Hey guys, I was about to go to bed tonight and I decided to get on here and talk to you guys about sleep and how Connor sleeps and what we do and how we transition to a 13-hour time difference and all those crazy things. So in Hong Kong, it's a 13-hour time difference. So it's like if it's not here, it's morning there the next day. It's super confusing. It was so crazy when we were in country trying to figure out what time it was back home and if we could call and if we could. It was crazy. Anyway, so Connor Connor was in foster care. In foster care, Connor was a baby, obviously, and so he slept in a stroller. And Hong Kong, let me say, did great about giving us updates and letting us know those little facts. Connor slept in the stroller, and to get him to fall asleep, she would rub his forehead. His foster mom would rub his forehead, and he would always fall asleep. So that's how he slept there. And when he transitioned at a year old to the orphanage, all their cribs were lined up in one room. So they would kind of just take him in there for nap, take him in there for bedtime, tell him night, and put him in their bed. There was they never mentioned rocking him, so I'm not really sure, but there was a rocking chair in the room. So they may have rocked him. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I think for the most part, they put him to bed and he would go to sleep. So when we brought Connor home, Jeremy really wanted to co-sleep with him, and I didn't. I know that's hard to believe because you think it would be vice versa. And the reason I didn't want to co-sleep with him is because I knew if I started, I would never move him out of our bed, and he would be in our bed forever. And so I said, my thinking on this was, he's 3 years old. He's used to sleeping in a room by himself. He did have other kids in his room, I get that, but he's used to sleeping in his own crib at night, so let's bring him home and put him in his own crib at night and always have him used to that way. And so we talked about it, we discussed it, and we came up with a decision that was what we were going to do. Did I want to co-sleep with him? Absolutely. I wanted him right there with me. It took me so long to get him. I had wanted a child for so long, and of course I wanted to co-sleep with him. But I was trying to think of the future and the long run, and I am totally not saying anything bad about co-sleeping. Our situation was so totally different than bringing your baby home and moving them to their bed later, and so I am totally not dogging on anyone who co-sleeps. You do you, I do me. Our situation was very different. So anyway, when we brought Connor home, of course, he had his days and nights flipped because of the time difference. And so it took a few days. I'm just going to briefly mention this because I don't want jumped all over. And I know there's a lot of varying opinions on it, but we did use melatonin at night. Not a high dosage, just a little, just like a drop, to help him relax and fall asleep. And within a week, we had his days and nights switched. And I do like to tell that, even though I know some people are going to jump on me, because I just want to say, melatonin, we love you, we love you, we love you. We do not use that anymore. We just use it for that first little bit. And so we got his days and nights switched in a week, and I totally know that is part of that. Why? And so we would put him in his crib at night. And I'm going to be completely honest here. This video is probably going to get a lot of people mad at me. I really hope it don't, but I know that it will. We would put him in his crib in his room, and we would let him cry. I know that there's a lot of opinions on that. There's a lot of people that say you psychologically damage them later if you do that. But we did that. He never cried for longer than 10 minutes. He never was just left in there to cry forever and ever. But I will tell you that the crying got less and less. I will tell you that now he rarely cries. I will tell you that if you do take him to bed, he might go, "Nee," and listen, see if you're listening, or if he can hear you coming or something, and then he goes to sleep. And so that was our decision. That's what we did. And within no time, Connor would just wave to us, night night or whatever, and he would go off to sleep, and it made bedtime so easy. Bedtime is so easy at our house, and I'm not saying it should be easy at your house too. Do what I do. I'm totally not saying that. I'm just saying in our experience, it's nice. It really is. And Connor's bedroom is like his safe haven. There are times he will go in there and point that he wants to go to bed. And I take him in there. We sing our goodnight song. We have a goodnight prayer song. We sing our goodnight prayer song, and I put him in bed. I kiss him. I tell him I love him, and that is that. There's no fighting. There's no arguing. There's no long, drawn-out process. It's so easy. And I will say he's a super good kid. He's so about his routine that it's easy. And so I know that's part of it too. And he has to have a nightlight. I will say that. If there's no nightlight, there's going to be a lot of crying, and he will have to cry himself to sleep. Like, it's going to be awful. One time, our nightlight, I don't, like the bulb blew or something, and it would not work. You'd plug it in, and it would do nothing. And that was a horrible, horrible night. And so now we always have an extra. Like, I don't just have one nightlight, I have an extra. And so anyway, he's super used to sleeping with a nightlight. So that's one thing I will say at bedtime, that's a must have. He always has one specific blanket that I had his name embroidered on before he came home. And so then I took it with us to China, and he had it in the hotel room with us, and he had it on the plane ride, and so it's always in bed with him at night. It's fleece, so he really don't need it during the summer, but it's like folded up and laid beside him. It's not really on him during the summer, but in the winter he definitely sleeps with it. And so that's always in his bed. And he doesn't have any stuffed, he's not really a stuffed animal guy, so he doesn't have any loveys or stuffed animals or anything like that. And so nothing like that is in the bed with him. And a lot of times, he doesn't do this a whole lot at bedtime anymore. But in the orphanage, I mentioned they were all in one room together. So the babies would like babble until they fell asleep, like kind of talk back and forth to each other. And so he does babble. He did it a lot more when he first came home, but he would babble himself to sleep. And that's just one of them quirky Connor things, and it's because they were all in the room together at the orphanage, and they would babble to each other till they fell asleep. And I love that. And he does that less and less now, which that's okay. But it was just one of them things that I totally loved, because it was just a little quirky thing that Connor did, And he does that less and less. He does that a lot, like in the car. If he's getting sleepy and falls asleep, he does it a lot in the car still. He'll babble, and the next thing you know, he's silent. You look back there, and he's fast asleep. But he doesn't do that at night as much. And now that he's saying more words, at night, what happens a lot is if he isn't, like, quiet and goes right to sleep, he'll lay in there, and he'll say, "Mama." He'll listen. "Mama." And then he'll end up falling asleep. He doesn't do that long either. And some nights he doesn't do anything. He just gets in bed and goes to sleep. He was in a crib until this summer. So he was 5. And we always said that we weren't going to move him out of the crib until he was standing up or climbing out or something like that. Then we would know it was time to go out of the crib. Connor in his crib would never stand up. He would lay in there until I came in the morning and got him out. He never acted like he was going to climb out, stand up, anything. He would just lay in there and talk and babble to himself until I came in there in the morning. And so this summer, it really sunk in that he was fixing to turn 6. And I was like, what if he never stands up in his crib? Is he going to be going into double digits and still in the crib? I mean, at what point here do you just say, okay, we're going to move him? There's really no rhyme or reason. It's just because he's getting older and we're going to move him. So We decided to do it during the summer because me and him were both off. And I'll be honest, I didn't know how it was going to go. He's never slept in a big boy bed. And so I wasn't sure how it would go. I was afraid he'd get up at night and be into all kinds of stuff and be all over my house. And I'm never going to sleep again because I'm going to be paranoid that he's all over my house. But y'all, we transitioned him during the summer in case there was nights I'm getting up and down and stuff. Neither one of us are working or having to get up the next morning. And so he did phenomenal, y'all. He still will not get up. He lays in that bed in the morning until I come in there to get him up. And when I come in there, he'll get up. So he's excellent. He's an awesome sleeper, and I love that. And I'm not saying that to brag on myself. I'm not saying that to act like I did anything right. I'm just super lucky. I realize that. I totally do. And so, those are some of the things we did, the melatonin and the letting him cry a little bit. And because we did that, now bedtime is a breeze. And he doesn't cry. He doesn't get mad. He knows we are going to do his inhaler. Then we are going to brush his teeth. He knows we're going to put on his jammies. We're going to do his inhaler. We're going to brush his teeth. And then he knows he's going to bed. He knows we'll sing the goodnight song. I'll plug in the nightlight. I'll put him in bed. I'll kiss him. I'll tell him I love him. And he's going to sleep. And so he's in that routine. He's in that groove. And it's just perfect. And so my advice to anyone, and I am totally not talking about a newborn baby because I've never had a newborn baby, so I have no idea. But my advice to anyone is to get your routine. No matter what it is, no matter how it looks, kind of decide what you want and do that every single night, because they may not act like it. They're never going to admit it, but kids thrive off routine. We all do, really. And it will not only benefit your child, but it's going to benefit you greatly. So that's my advice, is to get that routine set up, and it's going to be life-changing. It's going to be great, and they're going to catch on to that super fast. Even younger children, they totally will. And so I just wanted to get on here and talk about that, because I know I brag on Connor a whole lot, but he is an excellent sleeper. He is great, and he has done phenomenal. He had his whole life change, and I know it was scary in the beginning, but he has done so great transitioning and doing all that. And so I do not regret not co-sleeping, because I think if we had ever started it, it would be a very, very rough transition. And I always wanted bedtime to not be something that was dreaded, to not be something that was thought about and anticipated in a dreadful way. I want it to be a good part of the night, and I want it to be something I know most kids aren't going to look forward to it, but I just don't want it to be something he dreads, and it's totally not, and I'm so thankful for that. And so yeah, if you're having trouble, I totally cannot tell you what to do or say I'm giving you some kind of expert advice or that I have the answer, but I will say to set up your routine and do whatever works for you. I'm not telling you to do things a certain way. That's totally up to you, but I'm telling you, however you do it the same way all the time, and it will benefit you greatly and your kids greatly. And bedtime should not be something that is dreaded. It should not be something that is going to be a fight. And so I just want to get on here and say that. And again, I want to say that I do not think I'm an expert by any means at all. I've totally lucked up. God has given me a really, really good kid. And I'm just super lucky in that aspect. But I just wanted to get on here and tell that it is possible and it can be done. And I'm not saying which method's good, which method's better, but I will say that it worked for us. The way we did it worked for us. And so whatever you do, whether you co-sleep, whether they sleep in their own room, whether you let them cry it out, whether you rock them, whether you read them a story till they fall asleep, whatever you do, keep doing it. Whatever works for you. I'm not here to bash or say one way is better than the other, because every family is different. We're all different. God made us all different, and that's what makes the world so beautiful, and because it's so unique and there's so many different people in it. And I think as parents, a lot of times we want to say well, I don't co-sleep and my kid's awesome, and so co-sleeping's horrible, or this is horrible, or this or that. And I think as parents, we need to band together, y'all. It takes a village. It really does. It's so hard to raise a human. And so I think that we should be more kind and loving and non-judgmental. And the thing is, and I've said this before, I'm going to totally say it again. It's like my thing. I always say, unless you are harming your child physically or mentally, it's not my business. It's totally not. I don't care how you sleep. I really don't. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about us. And I do want to say that we need to have a little more grace for each other and to realize our place, I think. And so anyway, I'm on a rant bandwagon right now. But anyway, I just want to get on here and talk about that. And I just wanted to say that bedtime should not be dreaded, and we totally don't dread it at our house. I'm not saying that we're like, woo, let's go to bed. I'm not saying that Connor's like, yeah, I get to go to bed, but he totally don't like dread it, and he doesn't get upset. He knows after brushing his teeth, it's time to turn on the night light, sing the night song, and he's off to beddy bye. And I'm just so thankful it's not a fight at my house. So I just want to get on here and talk about that, talk about our little routine, and just tell you that if I have any advice for you, it's not to tell you don't co-sleep. It's not to tell you let them cry it out. It's not to tell you whatever you do, don't rock them. It's not to tell you any of that. My advice would be find what routine works for you and stick to it and work at it, and you'll get there. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy my videos, feel free to like and subscribe. I just get on here and talk about life and stuff and my opinions and things like that. So it's not anything super exciting, but yeah, it's just things I want to share and I feel are important. Anyway, thanks guys. I really appreciate all y'all watching and being interested in what I'm talking about and what I'm doing, and hopefully I'm not making myself look too crazy. But anyway, get your routine, y'all. Seriously, it's gonna be awesome.